Hello, guys. I want to welcome you to another great show of Out of My Zone podcast. I do have a special guest with me tonight. He's an amazing person. He has a beautiful story, some rough times, and his journey and how he's kind of got through all of those tough times. So there's a lot of insight from healing to faith to um, navigating through those storms. I want to thank everybody that's in the comments. Thank you guys so much for being here. It truly does mean a lot to me. So without further ado, let me bring up my guest, Bear. Hi, Bear. How are you tonight?
Hey, good evening. I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing actually really good tonight. I'm so excited that you're here on the show with me tonight, and everyone that's here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Bear, I just want to I want to start off with number one, saying that how we've kind of navigated through our bond and our relationship. I know that I spoke with you the other night and it was truly insightful and amazing. Your story is beautiful and there's a lot of healing in there. So, TikTok is where I met Bear through. Kevin Emery actually had noticed Bear from another community and we kind of grew together. And this is where the journey begins. And I do want to go over a little bit about when we had talked the other night, you had said that you want to be basically you're a very transparent person. Faith filled and spirit led is a big part of who you are. Can you explain that a little bit to the audience and let us know a little bit about that in your own words?
Yeah, so that I think thank you for having me first of all, and thank you for the platform and giving me the opportunity to share my story. And hello to everybody in the chat. Welcome in. Thank you for for joining in and supporting our team here. Um, yeah, so faith filled and spirit led. I don't even know where I came up with that, or if that's just something I heard or saw on a bumper sticker. I don't know. uh, but but I felt like it resonated with me so much because it is a big part of who I've become in my in the latter years, I guess, of like my from my late 20s to now. Um, Prior to my encounter, my spiritual awakening, if you will, um, I didn't really have a lot of faith or was spirit led, and I was just kind of navigating through life willy nilly, if you will.
Mhm.
But being faith-filled and spirit-led is pretty much what it is that I've had so much faith and I've seen so many things happen in my life that by being obedient to the Holy Spirit is what really has led me to the major breakthroughs in my life. So when I say that I'm spirit led, is when I mean that when I feel the Holy Spirit just take over, as it often does on my stream, it just I just let it go, and I don't try to control it, and it often takes me on a roller coaster of emotions, and
Mhm.
and that's kind of how I navigate through social media or just my life in general, just letting the Holy Spirit lead and really being attuned to it and really learning to listen to it even when it's uncomfortable.
Right, absolutely. I could totally agree with you on a lot of what you just said in my own journey and my own walk. Because it does take a little bit of time, especially if you're going through things in your life and if it's been one specific way for so long and you've kind of changed who you are, and you don't know how to really navigate through those storms, you've got to turn somewhere. You've got to see the light at the end of the tunnel at some point. I want to say this one quote, Bear. Actually, there's a couple that I do want to say that resonated with me to my core at the end of that statement that I just said. You had said, there is breakthrough on the other side of broken. And I don't want to get emotional, but this is the real me. This is who I am, but it does touch me to my core in my heart. There is breakthrough on the other side of broken. That means so many different things to me for my own life. You know what I mean? Because you feel so many different things, especially if you're going through a lot and it's like a ton of bricks falling on you every day. You're not seeing the first part of that beautiful statement that you said, the breakthrough. You're only looking at the broken pieces, right? Can you tell me a little bit about what you were feeling in the moments where you came up with this beautiful quote? I absolutely love it.
Yeah, actually, so I host a service on my live every Sunday, like an actual church service, if you will. And actually, the message that I spoke on was called "Beauty in the Broken." And there's this Japanese art technique called kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired by filling the cracks with gold dust, essentially joining the gold with the pottery. And it was a good illustration because you could see like a piece of art, right, that's been broken, but then you see the gold that is highlighted in between. And what I meant by breakthrough, that there's breakthrough on the other side of being broken, it is because there's so many times in my life that I've been through very rough things. And if you look at it as a way of, if you look at it and get down on yourself, or if you look at it as a negative, it's like, this thing keeps happening, and life touches us all, and that's the reality of things, is that life has a crazy way of introducing you to who you are. What I mean
Mhm.
by that is that we all get touched by life in death, in grief, in sorrow, in health, in just things that are naturally parts of life that will and can leave you shattered and broken. And it can lead you to down a a hole, right? And
Mhm.
what I mean by there's breakthrough on the other side of your broken is that you never know what your story or who your story is going to touch. You never know who's on the other side of what you're saying and what you're talking about or what you're going through, or who's watching what you're going through and seeing you broken or learning of your brokenness, and the ability that that has to encourage others. Like, man, if that person is still here, if they're still standing, if they're still able to have joy, if they're still able to tell a positive story through the storm that they went through, maybe I can too. Maybe this isn't the end for me. Maybe there's another day. Maybe I can walk in the light that they have, when they can see the breakthrough on the other side of your broken.
Absolutely. I love that. I truly do love that, and it has a lot of meaning behind it, and it truly is gonna resonate with a lot of people who don't see it in that light. And that's exactly why this right here is so important to bring real, authentic stories to life to let people know that if you're struggling and that if you're broken in your life, you feel is shattered, exactly what you just said, Bear. They could be watching the show right now. They could be watching your TikTok lives. They could be in there and you're touching them in those exact moments. Like we're meant to be where we're meant to be at any given time of our life. I do want to go over to a little bit about your upbringing. Where are you originally from? If you don't mind saying, you don't have to say, but I would like to know a little bit of backstory about who Bear is.
I live at 14311 120. No, I'm just joking.
I'm, my eyes was like Bear. That was a great little cushion right there for me. I appreciate that.
Tension breaker.
Yeah, tension breaker.
No, I grew up in the south suburbs of Chicago, uh, in Chicagoland area overall. Um, had what I would call a normal upbringing, a traditional upbringing, if you will. Both parents in the home. I'm extremely grateful for my parents, and the experience of a childhood that they gave me, and it really set a template for the childhood that I wanted to provide for my kids. Um,
Mhm.
and I feel like I grew up in, if you want to call like the American dream, like in the same neighborhood, growing up with the neighborhood kids, um, playing baseball my whole childhood. Um, riding bikes for like 8 miles before we knew what 8 miles looked like.
Right. I could really agree with you on that. I didn't know, now, I couldn't do that. But I just wanna kinda touch on some of these comments, Bear. You have a lot of community in here and a lot of people that already are resonating with you. So we have MB50, Bear is a solid that others want to get to know more and follow. Bear is a soul that attracts and loves others unconditionally. Smiley, hi, good evening, everyone. Bear is a true inspiration. There's so many people in here, Bear, that you are already touching their hearts and they're resonating with you. That's the beauty of it. And your mission, your core of life, your vision, your heart is being seen. And just like you were talking about, there's breakthrough the other side of broken. Exactly what you're talking about. You're kind of like, there's like this bowl and then the gold coming through. Like it doesn't matter. It could be a wilted flower or whatever it may be, but there's going to be life on the other side of it. We just need to, we're the tools, right? So a little bit of water and nurture, care, and guidance, right? Um, thank you so much for sharing some of those things with us, Bear. Um, I did hear you say the other day that a little bit of your journey and healing, you did some self-help books, reading for healing, self-acceptance, validating your own self, relationship struggles, external relationship struggles. Can you kind of enlighten us a little bit about those topics right there, Bear, if you can kind of guide us through that?
Yeah. Thank you for highlighting that, and thank you for to all my TikTok family and my friends and all my supporters that are showing up here. You guys get me, man. You guys get me in the feels just to see you guys here. Like you guys followed me to a whole nother platform. That's amazing. Thank you guys so much. Um, so I don't know, from early in my 20s, I was very influenced by self-help books. I just like to learn about interpersonal relationships. If anybody's familiar with the Gallup Strength Test Finder, it's basically a questionnaire that helps identify like what your strengths are. Um, what I found out about mine is that my top strengths were all in relationship building. So I'm very interested in interpersonal relationships. And in my early 20s, I had this amazing friend who gave me a book that it's a book that I've read multiple times throughout the year. It's by Dale Carnegie called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And the title sounds bad, and that's exactly what I thought when I first heard the title. I was like, that sounds manipulative. But but it just really teaches about interpersonal communication and how to make friends and how to make genuine connections. And I think if I can sum it up in a nutshell, it's just basically being honest, sincere, genuine, and transparent when you're in your relationships, and not only with the people that you encounter, but mostly with yourself. When when I feel like some of the biggest breakthroughs in my life has happened when I've had to look at myself in the mirror and say, "Self, you're messing up. You don't have it all together, and what you did was wrong." And really having that reflective moment to say, like, you need to change because you're having to apologize to a lot of people, and there's starting to be a pattern in the way that you live your life. And unless you do something, you're gonna keep repeating this pattern. And it hurts. It's a painful, reality when you have to kind of sit with yourself. And for me, it was sitting with myself after a heartbreak, after, being with somebody for a number of years, and, that ending. And it was the first time that I think I really had to experience grief in that manner, where I had to grieve the relationship. I had to grieve the friendship, and I had to really sit with myself and say, dude, you messed this up. And you need to own up to it, to yourself more than anything, because there's no one else here to shift the blame to anymore. And that was
Mhm.
just it. There was nobody else to shift the blame to anymore. Everybody was gone, and it was only myself, and I had to deal with myself. And until you can deal with yourself, it's going to be very challenging to have fruitful relationships, in my opinion. Um, if you can't be honest with yourself, and I was saying, I kind of came up with this thought that said, being um, accountable is having, or being self-aware is having respect for yourself, and being accountable is having respect for the people that you're in relationship with.
Absolutely. That couldn't be more true. You're hitting on a lot of really important topics here, Bear. Self care, self reflection is so important for anyone, especially if you're kind of like a codependent, or if you are like have attachment struggles. You know what I mean? And that detachment is even harder. So whenever you're not, just like you were saying, putting that blame on someone else, or it's this is the reason why, or this is why I acted this way, and really and truthfully, it's just that self-reflection and that self-care that you have to do that inner work. You're absolutely right. If you're not doing that inner work and you're not healing from past trauma or some childhood trauma or relationships that happened in your past, you're carrying that along with you into your next chapter of life, into the next relationship, whether it's a friend or a spouse or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whoever it may be. You're carrying those past traumas right along with you, and you're not doing that inner work. So that's very helpful information for anybody who may be out there who's going through this right now, is doing the time. Barry, like, you just couldn't be more right. Taking the time for you, sitting in silence, even if you need to, or some meditation, doing those self help books, looking them up, those are very important. Um, Also, too, I wanted to go over a little bit about. I'm so sorry. I kind of wrote some stuff down because I don't want to miss really anything. Um, so you were talking about. Oh, this is a quote that I really loved, Bear. I wrote this down because I didn't want to forget it. Don't, and this right here I'm going to talk about too deeper in just a little bit, you guys. But this one quote resonated with me, Bear. besides the other one. Don't make a permanent decision based on temporary emotions. And that falls so deep to the core to everything, everything in life that you're going through that can touch every single thing that you're going through is don't make a permanent decision based on temporary emotions. Bear, I do want to ask you to go through that a little bit, but um, I'm going to take a moment before we do that. And I'm going to touch on a couple other things before we go into that. Okay. Um, there was another one that you were saying be honest with self. And emotions are okay. And to know that deep down, don't fight it.
Yeah. I think that came off the back of when you asked in our conversation last night, how do I deal with um, certain things? And I don't remember exactly how you phrased it, but that was my response. Is that it's okay to be honest with your emotions and to let your emotion. And I think my sister just jumped in the live, Carla C, and this is something that she
Oh,
told me,
hi,
um,
Carla.
where she said, "Let your emotions do what they're gonna do. Feel your emotions. Let them have their moment, but let that moment pass. Don't camp in them and don't sit in them for longer than you need to. And it's all right to have those emotions. It's all right to feel those emotions, and it's all right to let them do what they're going to do, and not to validate those emotions because they are valid. You are feeling them. It's not like someone's making that up for you, right? Um, and not and understanding that those feelings will come and go. Emotions are like a flash in a pan, right? Like what I strive to have now is joy, and joy comes from within, whether it's storming, whether it's sunny, whether it's your worst day or it's your best day. Having that joy within, it doesn't mean that you're not going to go through hard times, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to have hard emotions or difficult emotions. It just means that at the end of the day, that you're gonna have a joy, that or know that at the end of the day, you're not gonna always live in those emotions, that those emotions are temporary.
Right. You're exactly right, Bear. And that's the part that when I say it's okay to not be okay sometimes, don't stay there. Reach out to somebody. And that's so important for people to understand that your your space that you're in right now, and I've heard this from another person and it makes sense and it really resonated with me. So whatever it is that you're going through right now, whether it be a happy time or a hard time or something really, really, really difficult that you don't know how to reach out and you don't know other than to just stay there. Um, your place that you're at in your life right now is not your final destination. You've got to have hope in your own self. You've got to have that hope. And if you don't have it, that's why these safe spaces and these um, groups are created, is for the people like are so down on themselves and they're just like, I just don't know. I don't know where else to go. I don't know where else to turn. I've tried therapy, I've tried all of these things, and I don't know what to do. And granted, I am not a licensed therapist, Bear, and I'm not a psychiatrist of any kind. But what I do have is I do have my own life story, and I do have my own struggles that I've overcame and I've went through, and I've learned different types of coping and understanding and listening is so important. Sometimes people just feel like they're not listened to. So that's why I say a lot of times you cannot ever have enough of, especially your platform that you have on TikTok. It's a space for people to come in and they could be having the worst day of their life. And you're sitting there and you're faith filled and spirit led and you're authentic and your emotions are real. So therefore that opens that door for them to be like the vulnerability comes and then they can start a healing process if that's what they want, or any other safe space that's out there. You can never have enough of them. So I really love that insight that you had on that, Bear. It's really important to to know that even though it's broke, it can still get put back together. It may not be connected fully, but it's okay.
Absolutely.
I also want to go over you said that you have poetry night on your platform. That's very intriguing. And I think that is absolutely beautiful because that brings people's raw emotion in and they're actually having to write it down.
Yeah.
And it's coming from a core place. I love poetry and it's helped me a lot on this platform. There's a lot of really great poets out there that I know, and you may not know that it resonates with you, but whenever you hear it once, you're like, that's really pretty. But if you hear it again and then you hear it again, those poetries, those conversations, all of that starts to resonate with you and it touches you in a way that you didn't even know about. I would love to hear more about that.
Yeah. Thank you so, for bringing that up. And I've been writing for years. I haven't written as much recently that I used to write. I I used to write quite a bit, and I ended up taking over this poetry night from somebody else, uh, Duchess of Happiness, who is an amazing, amazing TikTok creator. She's such a wealth of knowledge, and she would host these poetry nights, amongst other things. She would do poetry nights, musical Mondays, cafe shop Saturdays. She did a lot, and so she started becoming a little bit overwhelmed with some of the things that she had going on. So she was looking for somebody to take over the poetry nights, and poetry night, it is a monthly competition where people vote with coins. So so we open up a space for people to share their artistry or their poems, and then at the end of the evening, people vote for their favorite artist, and then that person gets put into the championship round at the end of which actually we still need to have, because the holidays we got kind of discombobulated. So so right now we have 3 people that are in the championship for the final poetry night, which will be happening this upcoming Wednesday in a couple of days. Um, but it's been amazing because it's been a really great opportunity. One is to broaden my audience, which is something that was important to me. But two, just the amount of talent that we've seen come through there, and the amount of people that I've met and listened to just their hearts, because it's really what it is people that are pouring out their hearts into and to articulate it in poetry form. And there's been some people who have come by, and you can really feel that they're going through things, and you can feel it.
Right.
Either they're going through things or they've gone through things. And and it's just been an enlightening experience, and I'm so grateful. It's just been a great way to meet a lot of different artists and a lot of different people. Um, and it's been something that I've been trying to strive for within my TikTok channel to kind of change my format, is to do different events like these, um, like the poetry nights, and then I also do a service on Sunday for church. Like we try to do we try to do what we can to reach the people.
Right. I absolutely love that. And it's good to highlight people, especially if they feel like they're, because you have that self image, you know what I mean, that comes in of just not being accepted or not being good enough, or your poetry may not be good enough, but you have that space for people to bring it anyway. And that's really, really beautiful. I would like to go over some of the comments. Um, there's some in here. Smiley, so true, Mary. It's so important for us to actively listen and be authentic. MB50, the past is gone, release it. The present is a gift, mold it. The future is unknown. Be in your own presence. Mike, that's so true. Thank you for that. Strawberry, we can't always change the past, but we can change what our future has for us in life. That is so true, Strawberry. These lessons that we go through in life and we learn, and we're really not knowing, right, what direction to go, left. It's a quote that I heard from somebody else, and it's an amazing quote. Do I go left where there's nothing right, or if I do I go right when there's nothing left? It makes sense, you know what I mean? Because you're kind of at a crossroads and you just don't know what to do. But these statements from the people in the audience are so true. Thank you for that, you guys. Erica, I've been camping in my emotions. I guess I typically struggle through, but right now I'm stuck. I'm so sorry, Erica, that you're going through that. I am a safe space on TikTok. If you want to reach out to me for anything, you can. I do have a Discord link for that. I'm sure Bear, he has a space too, as well. If you need to reach out to somebody, you do not have to do it alone. Um, I would like to say Smiley, thank you, Mary, for having this platform. You're making a difference. Thank you, Smiley, for that. I do appreciate all those kind words. It is important to have a space for people to come and to hear authentic, real stories from others who have had a hard time or maybe know something that the other person don't know. Bear, I mean, you've taught me, and just the few times that we've conversated, and also on this um, podcast show, you've already taught me so many things. Bear, I do want to touch on some more difficult subjects. I'm going to tread very lightly, okay? But it is important to bring awareness to this specific topic, and it resonates with me, and it is very, very important. I know that there is a couple of really hard times specifically that has happened in your life, and I know that we spoke about it. You don't have to speak on anything that you don't feel comfortable speaking on at all. You can you can navigate through that at your own leisure, Bear, but I do want to bring awareness to this, and if you're willing to share some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I do just want to give a trigger warning to anybody that may be in the chat. The topics that we discuss, especially my family. I know that I have um, some of my family members watching tonight, and they've been affected by the things
Mhm.
that we're going to talk about. So I just want to give that trigger warning to people that it does deal with suicide, it does deal with self harm, and it is a tough subject for some to listen to or to get through. Um, so I just want to throw out that disclaimer there before we go ahead.
Right, and also too, this is kind of like the TikTok platform, Bear. I know that there's certain words that we have to be careful on using. So
Yeah.
kind of okay. So I know that whenever we were speaking the other day, I had asked you some tougher questions, and the raw emotion behind it is for anyone that is ever going through anything like this in their life. Number one, I want to say is if you see something, say something. It's important. It's very vital. Paying attention to different things, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's just where you can't, and you just don't have the ability to do that. But if you do have that chance, if you see something, say something, reach out, check up on your loved ones, make sure that if they're not okay, just try to be there. And I say this too very lightly. It's not always that case, but bringing awareness to it is important. Bear, however you want to go over some of these things, it's up to you.
Well, we can start by just where this all started from, like my whole journey in TikTok and my whole journey in social media. It actually did start here on YouTube, um, where my it this all started as a homage to my nephew who is not with us anymore, um, due to self harm, and and he was 14 years old, and he was trying to create a TikTok channel, and or I'm sorry, a YouTube channel, and he wanted to be a YouTuber. And I mentioned to you the other night in our conversation, and a lot of us who are here uh, who have gone live on TikTok or have the experience of getting in front of a camera, it's not easy, right? Like it
No.
is it does take a lot of nerve to get over, and it does, it's not easy. So when, I see this um 14-year-old kid, and he just was so sweet, and I always hear his voice when he said, "What's up, YouTube? It's your boy JC," and it's like
Oh,
a little kid, and like he was really like his channel is still open, his channel is still active, and it was my way of honoring him. And I've talked about it a few times on my live. I know we're reaching a broader audience here, um, but it gives me great joy, but it's also a bittersweet uh, thing. And our family's been through it, and this is still relatively fresh. I mean, we lost him 2 years ago, and then we lost his father a month ago, a month and a half ago, in the same manner. And having to watch having to watch my sister go through that, probably one of the hardest things I've had to do. I remember there was a moment where there was a look on my sister's face that I said that I would never wish to see that look on anybody else's face at his funeral. And I just hope that what I do, and what my platform provides is an outlet. I know a lot of people. I know Coach Smiley has mentioned it tonight, that a lot of people consider my room a safe space, and I owe it to him. He provides that safe space. It's because of him that safe space is there. But what I do want to do is bring awareness, and what I was mentioning to you, and what I've mentioned in my from my platform as well, is that we can tell people till we're blue in the face that you can call me. If you need anything, you can just reach out. I'm here for you. You can tell people until you're blue in the face. And what I mentioned to you is that oftentimes we don't get that phone call. We get the phone
right.
call from the paramedics. We get the phone call from the sheriff's department. We get the phone call from the hospital with news that we don't want to hear. And I've been trying to think of how to make a difference in that, is in, like, don't wait till you have to tell somebody to call me. Be inclusive. Include them. One of the things that I've said on my platform is give people a space in your life. Give them a place in your life. Include them into the family nights. Include them into going bowling. Include them into family activities. Include them in your life so that they don't feel like they don't belong.
Absolutely right, Bear. It's important. And Christina says a lot of things that touch me too. You know what I mean? She's very, I would say, wise, but everyone goes through different things. You know what I mean? And she says a quote a lot of times in life, and sometimes we may not understand the reasons why. And honestly, for me, I don't think that we're meant to know those reasons why. We're just meant to navigate through those really hard times and don't have to do it alone. And for you, Bear, to bring light on something that is really painful for you and your family, you know what I mean? That real, raw emotion, and to let other people know the importance of what you just said. Be inclusive, include people, let them know that they're not alone. Because it is important. A lot of times people feel alone and misheard and misunderstood, and that's where the closed offness comes in a lot of times. And they sit alone, but it's not alone in the right reasons. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
you bringing awareness to something that is very, very important. And I don't know all the statistics, Bear, but we talked about this the other night as well. Men's mental health is just as important as a woman's mental health, you know, and it's stemming all the way down to our youth. And the numbers are scarcely high. So for you to have a safe space, an open place, and bringing awareness and being inclusive for people, that's where the real change is coming in at, Bear. I just want you to know that. I can't find the words sometimes, so please forgive me because it is a touching space in my heart, Bear, um, for your family. So my condolences to you and your family through this really hard time. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the time frame. Yes, it is fresh, but that's the kind of pain that you can't just outlook because you question. You have questions and you want to know reasons why. Tess said, grief is hard, but never gets easier, but over time it gets softer. Praying for softer days. Thank you, Tess, so much for that.
I know one of the things that, to honor my sister and her grief and what she's gone through is that she tries to look at her situation and what she's gone through as as a story for someone to hear, and that it would change somebody's life. And that's where I came up with the phrase, don't make permanent decisions on temporary emotions. So if you're someone that's having or going through or struggling with temporary emotions, just give those emotions time, give yourself time, and let those emotions pass and live another day. Live another day, please.
Please. Yeah, that was beautifully said. Thank you for that. And I said again, it does make me emotional a little bit because how can you not have emotion behind something so important, right? Smiley, Bear, I'm sending you and your family my prayers. Bear, you are making a difference. Thank you. Navigating through life is not always easy, and you are bringing awareness and a safe space. Smiley, thank you. It is important to have these safe spaces for these exact reasons. Bear, you told me a story that also really touched my heart. You said that sometimes you Uber drive, right? And guys, this is what I mean by nothing happens to you, it happens for you. Christina has said that statement thousands of times, and we may not understand those reasons a lot of times. But in certain instances, when people are going through something and you don't know left or right, right? You're just in a moment of, I'm going to Uber drive tonight, Bear. And that one night, you did something and you didn't even know that you were going to do it, but you did it. Can you can you please explain that story to everybody?
Yeah. Yeah. So every now and again, I Uber drive, and it's a great side hustle. But beyond that, I've always prayed for people to have people in my car that needed to hear a word or needed encouragement, and this night wasn't any different than that. When I always ask for that, when I always pray for that, and it was already like 2 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't gonna go driving, but I couldn't sleep, and I thought, why not? And I picked up this young man. And well, first of all, the ride was about 40 minutes out of my way. And so just based on the ride itself, I wasn't gonna pick that up because I was like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, it's 40 minutes out of my way, and I don't know if I want to do it. But that's what I mean by being faith filled and spirit led. is that you get the feeling or the spirit that leads you, and I've learned to just obey it and just to go. And so I picked up this gentleman, and he gets in my car, and he's just bawling. He's just crying. And the first thing he says to me is, "Man, I don't want to be here anymore." That he wanted to unalive himself. And this was maybe about a week after we had just lost my nephew's father to the same thing. And I said, and I told him, I was like, "Brother, I don't know if you believe in God or if you believe in things happen for a reason, but let me tell you something. That if you're asking or looking for a sign from God, well, here's reasons one, two, and three. One, I didn't want to drive tonight. I wasn't going to drive tonight. Two, you're 40 minutes out of my way that I didn't want to drive to, but I decided to pick you up anyways. And three, I just learned that my ex brother in law has passed away due to what you're feeling right now." And we spent the next 40 minutes taking him to his destination and just pouring into him and just letting him know that he's loved, that he's seen, that he told me he has a family, he's got parents, he's got brothers, and had told him, man, they would thousand times rather hear a phone call from you crying and telling them that you need help rather than get a phone call from somebody telling them that you're not there. And in explaining to him to not make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. And at the end of that ride, man, that guy was like foot taller than me. It's a big guy. But he comes up to me, "Man, can I just give you a hug, man?" And there we are, two grown men in the middle of the street at 3 o'clock in the morning, just hugging it out. And there's so many stories, Mary, of men that have gotten in my car and have broken down and say, "I don't have anybody to talk to." They feel more comfortable talking to a stranger in an Uber than they do at home. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize about men's
Mhm.
mental health, that we feel like I went through it when I got laid off months ago. I didn't know how to tell my family. I didn't know how to tell my significant other. And it wasn't until the my significant other is my kid's mom, until she started getting checks from the unemployment office for child support rather than my employer, that she finally confronted me with it. And it's because my sisters were asking me, "Hey, what's going on? Is everything okay?" They're checking in on me, but it's a weight that I was carrying that I didn't know how to unload. And the biggest grace that I found in that is when I finally did have the conversation with my kid's mom, and I didn't feel worthless. And I'm grateful that she gave me a space to feel like it's okay, and that something better is going to come along, or it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. But as men, oftentimes when we don't have the capacity or the capability to provide and protect, it does something to us. To me, I don't want to speculate and speak for everybody else, but it did something to me mentally where I was like, what am I gonna do? And I didn't want to share that with anybody. So
Right.
it's absolutely important to provide these spaces, and more so than anything, us men have to do a better job of providing these spaces for other men. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
something that starting to I feel like I'm trying to change the narrative of that with men, and not see men as competition, and really see men as brothers that need help, or brothers that can be supportive. And that's why one of the things I've been praying for so hard is for men to come through my community, men of integrity, men of valor, men of resolve, that are going to stand in the thick with you, that are not only going to say, "Hey, you shouldn't talk to women this way," men that are going to be champions for women in rooms that they're not in, to cut the locker room talk, to say that this is not okay for you to have these kind of thoughts, or speak about people in this way. Just because we're a bunch of guys in a room doesn't mean that we get the chance to disrespect women or other people just because they're not here. We need men that are going to stand up in the rooms where others cannot stand up for themselves. And I digress, and I apologize. I just get really passionate about that.
No, Don't ever apologize for something like that. That you have nothing to apologize for. It's a raw emotion, and you're right. You're absolutely right, Bear. That's the kind of change the world needs to see. And you don't have to be anybody other than who you are. You don't have to change. You don't have to fit the mold. You don't have to bend. Just be who you are. And if for some reason life has, or people in your life that has made you see a different light, reach out to someone like Bear. Be open to that. Be open to safe spaces. Be open to want to listen and want to grow, heal. You know, we're all human, right? So none of us are perfect, but that's the beauty in it too, is we don't have to be, and I really love that, Bear, because men need a space too. And it's just very important. And you see all the I guess the way of life on men and the stigma, of they don't cry, they don't shed their emotion. What are you doing? You're the provider, you're this, you're that. You got to be the strong one. But what happens whenever they're struggling so bad because our finances are low this month? What are we going to do? I've got to keep it going. Or how am I going to do this because I don't want my wife and my kids to understand, or however it may be in your relationship. Those stresses weigh so heavy on a man to where that creates chaos, that creates doubt, that creates friction, that creates so many different things because they don't have an outlet. So I really love that, Bear, to have that space for men, women, you know what I mean? Whoever it may be that is needing somebody. I absolutely love it. Erica, to God be the glory. I thank God for these divine appointments. Christina, Bear, you are a true inspiration. I am so happy and honored to call you a part of the Elevate Souls Productions family. You are the change that the world needs to see through purposeful media. Christina, absolutely said nothing but truth right there, Bear. Kevin, you bring true change to the world, needs more of Bear. Absolutely. There's so many great people in here. Uh, Christina, when we are able to live within our authentic selves, that is when we change the world, no more drama, social norms. The norm should be just be you. Absolutely. That's so true. I absolutely love that. Let's see if there's any more comments that we got to go through here. There's so many people that are showing so much love and kindness right now, Bear. What you're doing just on this show right here is already creating change. And that's I do apologize. My grandson is in the back. I have a family here and it's life, everybody. I do apologize for that. But being a family man and going through all these hard life things and then to come out on the other side and you're still going through healing and you're still going through that journey and you're showing other people that it's okay to take care of you. Do the work, get you some self-help books, reflect on what it is that may be at the core of things, Bear. There's a lot of things in here, and I could sit with you really and talk to you for a very, very long time, honestly, Bear, because that's like the bonds that the world needs. Like even though it's through a screen, it doesn't matter. You're still connecting on a different level. Is there anything specific that if you had to tell people in the audience right now or people that are out in the world right now, what would be some specific things that you could think of that could uplift them, give them some hope and a little bit of faith?
Um, First of all, I think it, what I literally have tattooed on my wrist is to be the change. And
I love that.
a lot of the things, and um, a lot of the creation of where my heart comes from is from What would I have wanted to be done to me? How would I have wanted things to be displayed to me? I think it was in my live earlier today was explaining how I spent months before my platform grew where I had nobody in my chat or nobody in my lives. I would play the keyboard and piano and the guitar to an empty room for hours, struggling to get 500 likes, and just feeling like, man, it'd be nice if I had some people that come in the room. And so when I go into people's lives and you know, I've created, I don't know, like over 20 group chats of like over 20 people in each so that it gets blasted out to over four or 500 people. And just so that they don't feel like they don't feel like they're alone in their chat. They're on their own journey. They're trying, they're putting themselves out there. And that's a lot on a person. And then to feel like it falls flat, I know what that feels like. And I want to be the change that I would have liked to see in that circumstance. So if in anything that you do, just be compassionate, see the humanity in people, see the humanity in someone else. Like one of the things that like sometimes breaks my heart, it's a weird thought. I don't know, I have a lot of weird thoughts, but one of the things that
Don't
it's
we all?
that I think of is like, when people charge like $5, $6, $7 for a bottle of water, and I'm just like, so you're telling me if I'm walking here with my daughter and she starts choking, you wouldn't just give me some water to help keep my daughter alive because it costs $7, $8, or whatever the case may be. It's like it's over over the the over commercialization of capitalism, where it's more important to make a dollar than it is to save a life. And just having that compassion and that humanity for one another to be true communities of people, because in this day and age, the more divided that they keep us, the more division and the more that we are pitted against each other. But once we start coming together in communities, once we start seeing the humanity in people, once we start seeing each other as brothers and sisters of this world that we're navigating in, be positive, be uplifting, be edifying. It doesn't cost anything to be nice to somebody, and you never know what they're going through. Sure, we have our moments of frustrations, and sure, life happens to us all, but it's how we react to it that really matters. You don't know what kind of day someone who has a bad attitude is having. You don't know if they're hanging on to life by a hair. You don't know what people are going through, and just be kind to people. Take cost nothing.
I love that, Bear. Absolutely do love that so much. Kindness is the freest thing that we will ever be able to give a day in our life. And it doesn't take much effort to do that. I really feel like change is already here, Bear. Excuse me. I see it day in and day out on the TikTok platform, YouTube platform. I really do see a lot of change being created. And the more and more people that we have come out and open up and know that it's okay to talk, people will listen. It don't have to do things alone. You don't have to be alone. You can reach out. Um, I do want to say I do have a safe space Discord. I know we're coming to the top of the hour, Bear. I do have a safe space Discord. In that Discord, I do have a specific link in there. I would say link, but it's a specific a deal where it has every single um, hotline possible that you could possibly call if you ever wanted to reach out. When you come into the Discord, there is a specific space for that. Bear, I want to tell you so much um, how much I thank you for being on my show tonight. You don't know how much that really meant to me. And the real change that you're creating is very beautiful to see. Keep going. You're making real change and you're creating it daily. I've seen so many beautiful people in here that said so many beautiful things about you. So that's how I know the change is already here. I want to thank every single person for coming out tonight and spending an hour with me and Bear. Um, who knows? We may have him back on Out of My Zone podcast in the near future or one of his own. Who knows? It's coming either way. I want to tell you guys you can find me at Mary.Mothertrucker on all platforms TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all of those fun platforms. You can find me on there. Bear, where can people find you at?
You can find me on TikTok as high_bear high. Um, and I am on YouTube as well. I actually don't know my YouTube handle. I haven't put a lot of work into it, but it's soon to come. Right now, my main platform of operation is on TikTok. So feel free to search bear, or the actual handle is high_bear high. It's up. I can't put it in the chat.
It's okay. But if you reach out to me or Christina or Kev or MB50, one of us can redirect you to Bear's platform. I just want to say I want a couple of other things, Bear, is I want to give my condolences to your sister and her immense strength that she's having to go through right now. I do want you to know um, that if there's anything that I could possibly do to be an ear for you or someone that you want to communicate with, whatever it is that you um, are struggling with in that moment in time, I'm here. I'm a safe space. You can reach out anytime. And I do want to give my condolences to you and your family. Bear, thank you so much for being here. I hope everyone has a great night. And remember, it is okay to not be okay sometimes. Just don't stay there. And remember to smile because you are worth it. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, Bear.
I know I can make it.